Yo. Eric? Yo, let's start. What? Huh? What are you doing? Eric? You're not my brother.
Come on in here, Brian.
Pass.
Oh, I got a Lord of the Rings Blu-ray. Come on.
I already have that, dude.
Come on in. Come on.
I already have the Blu-ray. I got it for $5 at Walmart.
Extended it cut. Come on in. Come.
The 4K?
I got a 4K here too.
Box set?
All three. Oh, what's this? Oh, the Hobbit movies as well.
You keep those,
Oh, come on.
I'll take the box set.
Come on.
Here, just go here.
Dive float.
We're gonna review this movie for you.
That's stupid.
Do you like clowns?
I actually hate clowns.
Do you like scary movies?
I love scary movies.
Then this might be the movie for you. This is It Chapter 2, and we're going to break it down for you. We're going to make it quicker
Yeah,
than usual.
this is a no-nonsense episode. We're not going to talk about any other movies we watched because we didn't watch any. We watched It Chapter 2 over the weekend. Actually went opening night. Well, Friday night we went. And
Yep, and I did. Oh, let's tell them, before we get into the review, let's tell them what happened. You want to tell them what happened?
okay, before we get into the review, we went to the movie theater. We get there. We were in theater 2.
It was Eric and his girlfriend Amber and me, so there's 3 people.
Yeah.
So
we walked into we walk in
and these theaters have seats of 2, you know, like the AMC theaters if you've been to AMC.
Yeah, we got 3. Anyways, so we're in auditorium 2. We walk in. I look and I see there's a woman in the 3rd seat that I had reserved. So I walked up and I asked and I said, "Hey, I think you're actually in our seat." And I showed her my ticket stub on my phone. And she goes, "Oh, it does look like they double booked us." And then she notices, she goes, "Oh, that's a completely different movie. This is
Brittany
Brittany Runs a Marathon." I was like, "Oh, shit." She's like, "Yeah, you're going to It Chapter 2.
And I said, "That's embarrassing." And then everyone laughed at Eric. It was awesome.
That's a completely different movie. Well, It Chapter 2, the sign was right here. We walked into this theater. The actual theater was behind that sign. We went into Auditorium 1, and it was Auditorium 2.
But to make you feel better, we heard people come into our theater, and the same thing happened to them. So it was a confusing little.
The second
thing
auditorium
indoors.
was tucked away back in the back, so
Yeah.
it was hard to find. But I was glad I made it to this movie because me personally, I liked it. It was way better than the first, in my opinion. Overall, I thought it was really good. What about you?
It was good. And obviously, I'm not going to say what I think yet. We'll wait till the end for that. So people can watch the whole thing before they get the rating from the Inglorious Bastards.
In
The
first,
act.
It won.
In the first act of the...
No, not doing that. I'm
Okay.
doing a brief synopsis real quick. It Chapter 1 was basically if you haven't read the books or if you haven't even seen the original It movie that was made in like 1985 or whenever that one was made.
Welcome to the club because we didn't either.
It Chapter 1 takes place in Derry in like 1989, I believe. and it follows this group of kids that come together because there's a psychotic killer clown in their town, and basically they come together to try to fight it and defeat it. And at the end of the movie, they defeat it, or so they think, but the it creature actually just goes back down into its hole.
It creature being the form of the clown named Pennywise.
Yeah, Pennywise the clown, which hopefully you all know that by now. Brief synopsis of the second one, without spoiling anything, basically from the trailer, is they're all adults now. Mike calls them all back to Derry because Pennywise is back. And throughout the course of the movie, they are learning a way to defeat the clown and trying to find ways to defeat the clown. And basically together they go and attempt to fight Pennywise.
The movie at its core is about not only the first one's pretty much facing your fears, but the second movie is about how when you're an adult, you kind of have to face those scars you've had as a kid. Like your insecurities, your fears that stick with you throughout life, no matter where you go. If you leave your hometown, you kind of forget about it, but no matter what, they're always going to be there.
The past is always with you.
Yes, and this movie's about not only confronting it, but like accepting that A, you can't change the past, and B, it's not always your fault. We always tend to blame ourselves for certain things or mistakes, but it's not always our fault. And that's what a lot of these characters have to come to grips with. That's what I liked about this story. It wasn't as scary as the first one, which I kind of liked. I felt like it was a more rounded movie. Felt like more like a drama at points than a horror movie. But the horror aspects, with the exception of the ending, were really good in this one. They actually showed some pretty gruesome things.
He goes way in depth on it and tries to find the silver
Johnny
lining.
Depp, that's what they call me.
In the playbook there. But from a literal perspective, it is a great horror movie with a lot of scares, a lot of chills. I definitely agree. I don't know. It's kind of a fine line to say that the first one was scarier. I found this one a little bit more creepier. And honestly, I don't find Pennywise scary. I find him very freaky, very creepy. Like, it's like an eerie tone to the whole movie. And that's kind of what you get with the scares in this movie. It's like a holy shit moment. It's like, wow, did that really just happen type of thing.
It's not really a jump scare. It's more like
there's a few of those
thrills.
But
like,
yeah.
Holy, like, whoa, what am I seeing here?
Kind of get your heart racing. Kind of out of the box scary shit going on in this movie. And I, for one, liked it a lot. Like how they did the scares in this movie and how Pennywise was interpreted in all their minds as an adult.
I wish that, so just taking from Harry Potter, you know the Bogart?
Yeah.
The Bogart's if you don't know, so they all have to line up and they face this thing called a Bogart, and it takes on the personification of their fear. That's what I kind of thought Pennywise was going to be in this one. But I wish they would have explained more why he took the form of a clown.
Because I think,
because
I'm pretty sure they explain it in the book. I've never read.
That's what I'm saying.
Book,
I might want to read the book just to know what.
I'm pretty sure
happens.
He takes the form of a clown because it's like a blanket fear of like the majority of the population. But yeah, I think he takes on the form of a clown because that's like like a majority fear in today's society. Because like, not spoiling it, but like a flashback they show of Pennywise or it, he took form of something else, which was like a fear of the people at the time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. 1800s, he took on the personification of a clown because, well,
carnivals were like huge back then. Yeah, I could see that. That could be a thing for sure. But yeah, they don't really explain.
So
that.
let's say he would have adapted to today's society. What do you think he would have like took on the form of?
Trump. So let's get back to the movie here. They do explain origins of it, which is nice. I like it when they actually touch base on all that stuff. But as far as like how the structure of the movie went, they use a lot of flashbacks to when they were kids, which I thought was really good. Because
connecting the movies.
Well, that and because it was like the bond that kept them all together and like brought them together, and it's what's bringing them back to Derry. So the use of flashbacks was great. I do think it was a little excessive at some parts.
But they knew they already signed the kids on for a second movie, so they needed to get their contract.
Well, I was just on the note of how they use flashbacks and all that stuff. But yeah, in the movie, it kind of goes. It's kind of like, it goes with the theme of sticking together, like how sticking together really does make a huge difference. Because in the movie, it kind of focuses on each individual's experiences with Pennywise and their fears and what they have to overcome, as far as like being an adult now compared to when they were kids. So I really like that aspect of it because it's kind of how they dealt with it on their own without all their friends. That was a pretty unique aspect of the movie. I thought the acting was great in this movie. Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise again.
Acting was great. Yep. The
Bill
acting was
Hader.
great.
Bill Hader,
He's
hilarious.
good. Yeah, he's good.
He made there was a lot of funny moments in this one, and I can see where people could think it was a little cheesy, but overall, they had a lot of funny moments that made the movie even better.
Which is what a lot of people hated, was how it was funny, because I guess the book wasn't very funny. But
Well, they had funny moments in this one, but at the same time, it was still freaky and scary. So it's like they didn't lose that aspect in the comedy. The comedy just kind of gave it a lighter note. I don't know.
yeah, I agree. All right, and the last thing I'll say is the one con that I think a lot of people will be turned off by is it's almost 3 hours long. It is a very long movie.
Yeah, they could have easily
The
cut
second
out like
act-
10 minutes.
The second act there's a lot of pointless stuff not pointless, but just dragged and predictable, I'd say.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the ending dragged on a little long.
But overall, pretty good. I'm going to give my spoiler-free rating. I'm going to give it a high 7, and it will be a gold on our scale. What do you think?
Nice. So if the first one for me was like a low 7, I would almost put this as an 8 out of 10 and then a high gold. I wouldn't say you have to go see it in theaters. It was definitely worth seeing in theaters. I really like seeing it in theaters, but I know a lot of people don't like sitting in the theater for 2 hours and 50 minutes. But if you don't mind long movies, I would give this a platinum and say, as a really good horror movie in my opinion, but still going to stick at a gold for this one. But overall, really good horror movie. I liked how they ended the it here.
Yep, and we're going to do a short spoiler review for those that have seen it, which isn't very
many.
many
If you haven't
yet.
seen it and you don't want to hear spoilers, fast forward to the end.
Okay. Perfect timing.
We already saw in the first one, and we already saw in this one, that he's not going to be physically defeated. That he is something from another world.
They're lights that are channeling.
He is something from another world that draws its power from fear. So basically, that's why he targets children.
He doesn't draw his powers from fear. What he does is he uses fear to get his food for his body form.
But I think that's how he gets his power. Is he has to have some sort of power if he can just shapeshift and morph. So
It's not him though. They're lights. There's 3 lights, spinning lights. Those are that's the source, right? Or is it? Or is the big?
No, there is a
teeth?
physical form. There's a physical form, and it's Pennywise, but he takes on the form of your fears, and that's why he targets kids because they are scared easy. As an adult, you kind of understand. This is all in my head. This is he's drawing fear from me, and that's what's making him stronger. So that's why at the end they were just like, you're nothing, you're little, you're small. I did agree with you. I kind of felt like it was a little cheesy. It's like, oh, you're just a clown. You're just a clown. And then he gets small and little and he's a little baby.
Yeah. And then, but
it makes sense. In my opinion, it makes sense why they did
it was very underwhelming. I liked that, what's his name? Richie ended up being gay. And Bill
Hader's character.
I liked how he used, how he wrote. He loved Eddie, and when Eddie died, it made it more impactful. When he went back and wrote his letter, you saw that's the letters that. I don't know. It just hit me. That was pretty good. I liked how they also mentioned about him being gay. That he said he doesn't write his own jokes, and his first joke was about having a girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
that was like a little tidbit. That was pretty good. I thought they did well with all the characters. I like that. What's his name? Ben ended up with Beverly.
Oh yeah, finally, and I didn't even realize it, but in this one, she finally realized, oh my God, you wrote this note to me. It's like, wait a second, I thought you realized that in the first one. You guys.
She forgot. Remember when they left? She forgot, and then she started remembering stuff.
So yeah, that was another thing. It's all of them kind of had lost their memory of what happened when they were kids because they all moved away except for Mike. And then when they came back, their memory started coming back. It started getting in their heads, which I kind of like that aspect of it.
Yeah. The only thing, another thing I didn't like was like I said, the middle drag. That's because each one of them had to go back and find an artifact to sacrifice in order to kill him. Well, each one of these stories, these fears, they're actually pretty good, but it's just too long. It's like over an hour of each of these characters revisiting their fears.
I will say it was a little long, but it did give us some scares, which I liked. It also gave us a little bit of insight from the first movie. So basically what happens is when they all split up was basically when they all split up when they were kids. So at one point in the movie, they think they defeated it, but they really didn't, and later they defeat him. But in the movie, they split up, but they don't show it in the first one. So in this one, they use the flashbacks to show what they experienced as kids, which was they experienced Pennywise again. And some of those parts are pretty freaky.
It was just good. It was good, but they didn't have to show every character. I felt like it was stupid in that regard. But overall, great movie. I'd probably watch it again. Not one of my favorites, like I said. We're gonna go every spoiler, but those are the main ones
I'll definitely watch it again when it comes back out. But yeah, overall,
definitely check it out.
Anyways, before we go, Brian, give us your best Pennywise voice.
No, you don't want to play with me. I want you to be my friend.
Oh, come on down here. I'm Pennywise. Oh, it's time to float. Oh, pop, pop, pop.
It's actually pretty good. It's
That's
scaring
pretty
me. Yeah, I almost like myself, I think.
Will you be my friend, Brian?
Any last words for the audience?
It's time to float.
What?
It's time to float. It's time to float. It means you'll float too. 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 You'll float too.